In the previous lesson, we have learned about ASP.NET page events. They are pre-init event, init event, init complete event, preload event, load event, load complete event, pre-render event, pre-render complete event, save state complete event, unload event, error event. Now in this lesson we will create a new ASP.NET website and learn different ways to bind event handlers to the events through code, and we will see the significance of auto event wire up attribute, which is declared in the page directive, by turning it on and off. In the process, we will also learn the order of events that are raised during ASP.NET page life cycle. We will make use of response.write method to display messages from the event handlers. Also, we will see when and where we can access a response property of the page. We will also turn on tracing in the web page and list out all the events that have occurred during the page life cycle. We will learn about logging mechanism using log4net library. We will configure log4net library in the web.config file. After that, we will obtain ilog interface and write log messages to the text file using ilog interface. So now let us start. Let us try to minimize this notepad. So this is our IDE, Visual Studio. We'll create a new ASP.NET website. So to create a website, go to File, select New, select Website. In the new website dialog box, select the language. Here we are using Visual C#. Select the template here, ASP.NET empty website. Select a location for the website. Since we are using IIS for deployment, I am selecting the location as HTTP. Give a name to the website. Let us give some name. We'll call it as page event demo. Let us click OK. So now if there is no existing website with the same name, the IDE will create a website and it will be deployed in IIS. So our website is created now. Here we can see the solution name. This is a website and these are the contents of the website. Here we have a single file called web.config file, which is a configuration file in ASP.NET. Now our website by default contains only one file. Now we need a web page. So to create a web page, we have to add a web form to the website. Right click on the URL node in the Solution Explorer. Select Add. Select Web Form. By default, the name of the web page is default.aspx. Click OK. Now the web page is added to our website. By default, we are in the source mode. We can go to design mode. We can see the split mode. Okay. Now we are in the source mode. Here we have the page directive. This is a page directive which is a must for every ASP.NET web page. And here we can observe auto event wire up attribute, which is by default is true. So this is mandatory for this lesson, because we are automatically wiring events to the event handlers. Now when we create a web page inside a website, by default it will create a code behind file for each and every ASP.NET website web page. To go to the code behind file, press F7. So this is a code behind file where we have a class which is derived from the page class. By default here we have only one event handler called page load. This method is invoked whenever the page is loaded. So it is automatically wired up to the event called load. So whenever page is loaded, this method will be invoked. So methods which are automatically wired, here we have a page load method which is automatically wired, contains two parameters. The first argument is of type object, the second argument is of type event args. Now similarly, let us add other methods for all the rest of the events. So I'll try to copy this, paste it here. Now here let us remove the event name load and replace it with init. Similarly, for init event, let us replace it with init, whereas this is for event pre-init, this is for event init, and we have init complete event. We also have preload event, then we have load event, then we have load complete event, then we have pre-render event, then we have pre-render complete event, then we have save state complete event, then we have error event, and finally we have unload event. So here we have added event handlers for all the events that we have learned and mentioned previously. We have pre-init event, we have init event, we have init complete event, we have preload event, we have load event, we have load complete event, we have pre-render event, we have pre-render complete event, we have save state complete event, this is save state complete event, and this is page error event, and this is page unload event. So these methods are automatically bound to the corresponding events. This is due to our attribute auto event wire up, which is declared in the page directive. Now let us make use of response.write to display some messages when these events are raised from each and every event handler. Pre-init, let us also write break statement. Now this is init event, this is init complete event, this is preload event, this is load event, this is load complete event, this is pre-render event, this is pre-render complete event, this is save state complete event. this is error event, and finally here we have page unload event. So we are trying to display messages from each and every event handler so that we can see some output when the corresponding events are raised, and also will be confirmed that the events have actually been raised inside the page. Now save this page. Now let us try to run this page. Go to debug, select start without debugging. So here we have our browser. So here we have an error. It is saying that response.write on line number 61 is not available in this context. This is true actually, because by the time unload event is raised, we don't have access to response object. So it is mandatory not to use response object inside page unload event. So let us try to remove this. Let us go to unload event. Let us try to comment this. Save this file. Let us go to our browser. Refresh the page. So now we are seeing some output from each and every event handler. So the first event that was raised is pre-init, followed by init complete, preload, load complete, pre-render complete, save state complete. We did not see any messages from unload event because we have commented response.write, because response.write was not available during unload event, because by the time the unload event is raised, response and request objects are unloaded. They are not available to access. And also we did not get any error message, because error event is raised only when an unhandled exception is raised. Since in here we do not have any unhandled exception, error message is also not displayed. Now let us try to go to the source code. These methods are automatically invoked due to our auto event wireup attribute, which is true. So this is by default true. We need not write this attribute here. Let us remove it and try to rerun the page. Again we can see the same output, because by default auto event wireup is true. Now if you make it false, so let us save this, go to debug, select start without debugging. Now since auto event wireup is false, event handlers are not invoked. So it is very important for us to write auto event wireup equal to true in order for the event handlers to execute when the corresponding events are raised. We also have another method, another way of handling events in the page out. So for each and every corresponding auto event handler method, we have a corresponding on method. So for pre-init we have on pre-init, for init we have on init, for init complete we have on init complete method, for preload method we have on preload method, for load method we have on load method, for load complete method we have on load complete method, for pre-render method we have on pre-render method, for pre-render complete method we have on pre-render complete method, for save state complete method we have on save state complete method, for error method we have on error method, for unload method we have on unload method. So we'll try to replace this method with the corresponding on method. So for that we have to override the base class method. Let us try to remove the previous method. Now for init we have on init method. Let us remove this previous method. Now for init complete we have on init complete method. So we'll remove this automatic event handler, and for preload event we have preload method. Let us remove this automatic event handler, and for load event we have on load method. Let us remove this automatic event handler. For load complete method we have on load complete method, and for pre-render method we have on pre-render method. For pre-render complete method we have on pre-render complete method, and for save state method we have on save state complete method. For error we have on error method. For unload we have on unload method. So these are the corresponding methods for the respective events. Here we are overriding the base class method. Since we are overriding the base class method, it is mandatory to invoke the base class version of that method in the derived class method. Now let us write response dot right here to display some message. Break. This is init, and this is init complete, and this is preload, this is load, and this is load complete. We have pre-render method, we have pre-render complete method, we have save state complete method, we have error method, we have unload method. Now try to save this. Let us go to the source mode of .aspx file and let us remove this attribute. Now by default auto event wireup is true. Let us undo it. Now the auto event wireup is false. So even though the auto event wireup is false, the overridden functions will be invoked when the corresponding events are raised. Now save this file, go to debug, start without debugging. Now here we can see the error here. It is a similar error which we got previously. Let us go to unload method and comment response.write. Again rerun the website, debug, start without debugging. So here we have the similar output from overridden methods. Here we are not using any auto event wireup. Here we are overriding the base class version of that on method, and we are displaying some messages from the derived class. So these are the two ways of binding event handlers to the page events. Now here we are using response.write to write some messages to the web page. Instead of writing response.write, we can also enable tracing. So to enable tracing, go to .aspx file in the source mode, write down trace is equal to true in the page directive. Now try to run the website, debug, start without debugging. Now along with our custom display that we have displayed using response.write from the corresponding overridden functions, we can also see the information that is traced. Here we have a section called trace information, where we can see the list of events that are raised in the ASP.NET page lifecycle. Here at the end we have a render method. This render method is not an event. It is used to render the web page in the browser. Once the page is rendered in the browser, the web page is unloaded, and once the unload event is raised, we don't have access to request and response objects, and after the page is unloaded, the page will be ready for garbage collection. When the garbage collection takes place, disposed event will be raised. Here we are not seeing any disposed event because we did not handle disposed event here. So this is another way of looking at the order of events by enabling trace in ASP.NET. So to enable trace, we have written trace equal to true in the page directive. Now we'll also look at another way of writing output from the page to a log file. We'll make use of logging here. We'll make use of a framework, log4net library, to enable logging, and we'll write the messages to the log file instead of displaying it on the page. So for that, open Solution Explorer. If it is not already open, go to View, select Solution Explorer, right click on the website node, select Manage NuGet Packages, enter log4net in the search box. So here we have log4net library, click install. So now log4net library DLL assembly will be added to our website. Now a new folder is created here, bin folder, which contains the library assembly for log4net framework. Now to enable logging, we have to write some configuration in the web.config file. So we have to write some tags here, which I have already written in a notepad file. Let us go to that notepad file. So these are the elements that we have to write into the web.config file to enable logging. So I'll copy this, go to the web.config file, inside configuration element, paste our elements. So here we are using text file for logging. because we have mentioned mylog1.txt as a value, and we are using file appender to enable logging into the file. Now save this web.config file. Now go to the code file. Here we have to decorate our class with an attribute. Since we are using logging, log4net library, copy this attribute from the notepad file. Now paste it above the class. Now to log messages to the text file, we need ilog interface. So ilog interface can be created using this statement. Declare this statement inside the class, and you have to mention the name of the class inside type of operator. Since the name of the class is underscore default, you have to mention the same name here. Now once the ilog interface is obtained, we can replace response.write with log.info. Now instead of writing it to the page, here we are logging the same information to a text file. So replace every response.write with log.info. So I'm replacing each and every response.write. Now let us try to uncomment this. Now we can see output from unload event also, since we are not using any response object here. Now save this. Let us remove these break statements. New line will be automatically appended when we write some information to the text file. So let us remove this break statement. In between, try to save the file. To be on the safe side, so that we don't lose any content if there is any power shortage. Now save this. Now save this file, go to debug, start without debugging. So here we are seeing the trace information, but we did not get any output from the response.write because we have removed it. Now let us try to disable trace information. Go to default.aspx. Let us remove trace attribute here. Save it. Now again, we did not run this. Log file is already generated for us. Okay, let us save this. Now to see the log file, go to the Solution Explorer, right click on the URL node, select open folder in File Explorer. So this is our log file, mylog1.txt. So this is our folder for our website, inside www root folder, which is inside inetpub, which is inside C drive. Now open this file. Here we can see the list of events that are raised inside ASP.NET Page Lifecycle. We are able to see a new output from unload event. So after save state complete event, we have unload event which is raised. So this is how we can generate output from the web page. And here we have learned how to bind event handlers to the events. We have used two methods of binding event handlers to the events. One is auto event write up, and the second one is overriding the base class members. We have made use of response.write to display content on the page. We have enabled tracing. we have modified auto event write up attribute. We have seen when auto event write up is false, the automatic event write up will not happen. Only when it is true, the auto event write up will happen and the corresponding methods will be executed. By default, if you don't write auto event write up, it is by default true. But when you are overriding the base class methods, auto event write up is not required. So we have made it false. So even when it is false, we are able to execute overridden methods when the corresponding events are raised. So this is about page events.